Hello humans, I'm 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬. How are you all doing? Doing awesome, I hope. And if you are not doing awesome, well, change it, do it, right now, make it awesome. Before getting into the meat and potatoes of the episode, let me explain why we are here. And where is here exactly? I'm currently in the creative dimension of my SMP. I was hoping to figure out a way to fish out treasures with a deployer, using the Create mod. Recently, I made a massive fishing farm that turned out to be a hilarious success for unexpected reasons. But, as I mentioned in previous episodes, automating fishing is actually quite simple, but that usually never includes treasures. I want to see if I can farm enchanted books and some of those Neptunian bounties that aquaculture adds to the loot. In order to achieve that, we need to meet a few requirements. First, the bobber needs to be in the middle of a 5x5 square with nothing but water sources or at most, lily pads. They can be bubble columns, or even kelp too. This square needs to be at least 2 blocks deep of water, and 2 blocks tall of air. It basically means that nothing can be anywhere near the bobber, which makes automating it become quite tricky. But 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬, you are a massive redstone genius, your prowess knows no bounds, and also you are so cute and pretty, I'm sure you have a way to solve the problem. Well, thank you, I'm very flattered, but actually no, I haven't been able to fully solve it yet. I had 3 different ideas that I had to instantly discard, but then, I came up with 2 new ideas which are what we are going to look at today. You might have noticed the skulk sensors that I have been trying, and yes, they actually work, somewhat. But to make a proper farm, we need to reach a certain level of stability and reliability. The calibrated skulk sensor kinda works, but unless the conditions are perfect, things tend to get really messy. So, let's jump into it. What I'm doing right now is to find out the perfect timings for this setup to work 99% of the time. I will get into more detail in a second, but first, I wanted to answer a question that actually no one asked yet, because the episode isn't done, so no one had the chance to watch it, so they could ask it. But don't worry humans, I got you, I will ask it for you. Why the change of style for this episode? Well, the short answer is that I actually have close to no time left to make an entire episode, and I really wanted to publish this one between Friday and Saturday, so if the video is not uploaded by then, I guess that means I failed. Lately, I have been making longer episodes, with some of them getting close to being 40 minutes long. That is something that I like. I think I want to try to aim for an episode to be between 20 to 30 minutes. But I don't want them to be extra long just for the sake of it, there's gotta be a reason for them to be long. I generally prefer if the video has one main focus, and maybe at most, there are 1 or 2 small side things of stuff that happened during the week. This time though, I found myself in an awkward spot between projects, so, making a 30-minute long episode made no sense, not unless I were to add all of the random stuff in one messy episode. That's why I decided to make 2 smaller episodes, one that I released on Wednesday, and this one that hopefully will be done by Saturday evening. Sadly, as you might have guessed by now, the plan didn't go so well since I very much ran out of time. The first episode was meant to be the final touches for the fishing farm, and a quick update about the diamonds it is farming, but that ended up being quite long, and it took me 1 day longer than it should have been. I originally planned on releasing that episode by Tuesday. After the episode, I had the idea for a really cool short to go with it, and I assumed that would be something simple to work on while I tested things out for the current project at hand, but ended up taking me the entire Thursday. Yes, I literally spent the entirety of yesterday, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., working on a 50-second video. So instead of having from 3 to 4 days to make the episode, I pretty much have a day and a half to hopefully have something ready. Obviously, that's not enough time for me to figure out this farm, come up with how I want to build it, and how I want to go about the episode. Then record the episode, write the script, and all of the good jazz. That's why I have decided to give up on the idea of making the entire farm today, and I'm just going to try to figure out the mechanics of it, so I can properly go build it next week. You might be thinking, well, why make this episode then? Why not just take it easy, and simply release it next week? Well, because I want to, and also because I thought it would be a good opportunity to do something different. In fact, as I'm recording this, I just decided that I'm going to do my best to release this episode today, regardless of how much progress I have made. One of the things about making farms is that, sometimes, things don't turn out the way you want them, and sometimes, a simple task might take ages to do. So, today it's going to be a hang out with Batsy episode, and we will figure out together how much progress I'm able to make in this project. Alright, so what am I doing right now? First, I have made here a collecting system. It's not great, but that feels like the simplest solution for now. I cannot place anything near the fishing box because then I won't get any treasure, but this is a solid system, it should gather everything just fine. The tank doesn't need to be this big at all, it only requires a couple of blocks deep, but I was doing other tests before, and I couldn't be bothered to change it now. Up here we have the deployer with the fishing rod, and a whole bunch of stuff that might not make a lot of sense without some context. First, I'm using a reverse pulse extender set to 4 ticks to lock the deployer. I have tried other methods before, but in short, unless the deployer gets locked with a redstone signal, it will constantly be casting the fishing rod over and over, without catching any fish. That is mostly the difficulty of the farm, so the deployer knows when to reel the rod. The idea is that when a fish makes a splash sound in the water, the calibrated sensor will trigger to that frequency, and the pulse extender will turn offline for 4 ticks. That is enough time so the deployer at max speed reels the fish and casts again. There is also this weird little setup with the piston, which is here to prevent the sensor from constantly firing up. And it's the same reason why I'm using soul sand in the middle. When the deployer casts the rod, it will already make a splashing sound. Then, as it goes up and down, it might go down enough to cause more splashing sounds, which is why the soul sand is trying to keep the bobber afloat as much as possible. That will prevent most of the splashing noises before catching the fish, but there is still the issue of the noises at the beginning. That's why I'm using this wool here to prevent it. Right now it's deployed so the sound can travel through it. The sensor will receive the signals through the top block of the piston. So that will detect whenever we catch a fish. Then when the deployer casts the fishing rod again, it will start making splash noises constantly until it stabilizes in its place. That's why there is a reversed pulse extender here for 6 seconds. The wool will go down, preventing all of the sounds from the bobber, at least for those 6 seconds anyway. The biggest problem I have right now is that the fishing rod doesn't cast the bobber in a straight line. And this is the closest it can be to the water, because the higher the deployer goes, the more deviation it's going to cause when casting the rod. If I can't reliably have the bobber in the same place all the time, then it becomes harder to build everything else around it. Then I have the issue that sometimes it doesn't seem to be producing any sounds, even though the bobber seems to be moving up and down. If it lands too far away, it seems to get stuck in that state and it won't catch a single fish, which I'm not fully sure what's going on there. I'm using a fan to softly move it sideways a bit and see if it's more reliable if the bobber is always perfectly in the middle. But obviously, that's not going so well. I'm trying to blow it from all directions to see if it can always move it dead in the center, but it's really getting tricky to do. It kind of seems to be doing the job though. But now I have random items stuck in here, that's unfortunate. It's even worse because the item is making splash sounds now, and it's triggering the sensor. I have done tons of tweaking between speeds, different timings and everything, but I'm still stuck here, and I still don't know why sometimes it doesn't catch any fish. I'm going to try with a backpack, and see if I can push the idea with the encased fans further. So long as the bobber it's in the middle, it seems to be doing fine. I think I might be onto something. Added encased fans in both levels seem to be doing enough to keep it well centered, and the backpack is sucking all the items. I was speaking too soon, I think it's stuck again. It has been here doing nothing for a few minutes now. Did you see that? I saw bubbles at the bottom of the pit. Yes, I saw another one. Those seem to go towards the bobber, but they are way down there. I think that visually it looks like it's up here, but the real bobber is way underneath, stuck with the magma blocks. I'm going to replace everything with soul sand, because I'm using the backpack to collect the items anyway. That should hopefully prevent it from getting stuck. Why is it cycling now? Right, I removed the wool for a bit. I think it's doing better now. I haven't seen it glitch out yet. Sometimes it catches a fish, but then nothing appears in here, which is weird because only 2 types of fish are getting fished. I'm not sure if this is because of this creative dimension, with a custom biome. It looks somewhat stable, so I think I'm going to AFK here for a little bit, see if it's stable, and if I get anything other than squid and cod or whatever it was. Going to leave the cam far away so I can edit what I have thus far without the constant noises. Alright, some progress has been made. And you might have noticed that I changed scenery. The problem with the loot table was in fact that I was in a custom biome. I'm currently in the backup server and everything seems to be doing better in the normal overworld. You can also notice that I finally got some treasures out of it, but I'm not too sure what's going on. I've got those fishing rods and the Neptune's bounty maybe in the first 5 minutes of testing, but after that, I've got nothing at all, so I'm not too sure if I was absurdly lucky early on, and now I'm being unfortunate, or something broke in the process. Sadly, when it comes to fishing, it can take hours to fully notice that something isn't spawning, or I'm just being unfortunate. But other than that, I have made a more efficient and compact design for it, and I'm already looking at how to stack several of them together to increase the rates. It's just going to require some wool, but everything else fits nicely on a straight line, so it's pretty much perfect to properly set up the calibrated sensors. I'm obviously not using the encased fans anymore since the bobber is not bugging with the magma blocks. It made the entire design a whole lot easier, for sure. It's always kind of funny when you make the final design, because after so many iterations, it kinda makes sense, and it's weird to think about doing it any other way. But obviously, it's not until you reach said stage that you realize about the redundant parts, or the unnecessary steps you're taking. It's only obvious when it's done. But yes, I think I will leave it here, and during the weekend, I will leave it online to see how it goes, and do minor tweaks here and there. This is going to be the slow part of fine-tuning the design, and the timings, so it's gonna be countless hours of boring AFK content. Hopefully, I get some treasures again, but I feel like it might be the bubble columns that are screwing with it, even though the wiki said that bubble columns are fine. Anyway, I will leave this AFK, and hopefully next week I have good news for you all. Thank you so much for watching, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time.